on that field today? Ask yourself this question.
What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Let's go! We made it! We made it! We made it! We made it! And let's go to the house! And let's go to the house!
When I step on the field, I send one message. And this is what it feels like. This is what it feels like. Football is getting hit. That's it.
It's gonna be football now. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Let's hunt now. Let's hunt now. Let's go. Let's hunt. We made it. And let's go to the house. And let's go to the house.
We're talking about the Jets like we're talking about the Saints. You know, all this, how like we the Miami Heat of football. Yeah. The bottom line is you got to buckle up your chin strap. It's embarrassing. Yeah. Don't disrespect the game like that. There's too much crying from them. He's a man. They can be hit just like us. He's a man. You already make the big money. He's a man. Don't cry when you step on the field, man. That's war out there. When I step on the field, I send one message. This is what it feels like. Oh, my bad. Your bad don't work in my world.
What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. We made it. And let's go to the house. And let's go to the house. It's a wrap. Game over.
And nothing gets me hyped like Ray and that hype music. It's game time right here on the lunch break, powered by JM&E, streaming live on Roku TV, courtesy of BS3 TV. If you got a Roku streaming device, just download BS3 TV and you will thank me, man. We had a great show last night on The Forecast. That's four brothers talking about the latest movie or the movie that we preview, and man, it is not no Siskel and Ebert stuff. It is straight fire. Last night we did the movie Passing. It's a good one. If you got Netflix, look up Passing. You'll like that one. All right, let me get back to it. It's Talk Your Team Tuesday, and listen, those Kansas City Chiefs got plenty to talk about last night. Down by 17, no problem. Travis Kelce, where you at? Not one, not two, not three, but four times from none other than Patrick Mahomes. Ball game, 30-29. I'm just going to ask this question. Where in the heck are some of these offensive coordinators getting that you got to go for two in these certain situations? Is it a rule? Is it a law? Is somebody going to be prosecuted? Is somebody going to be incarcerated if you go against what the analytics say? I thought those were good suggestions. I thought that was just a roadmap, but god dog, if it ain't, man, I'm going to leave it alone. They know more than me. They make more money than me. They got check marks. I don't. But man, some of that stuff is dumb as it gets. And John Harbaugh is not excluded from it because he did it a couple of weeks ago with the Baltimore Ravens. But hey, them Cowboy fans, I know y'all want to talk some noise. It's Talk Your Team Tuesday. This is the day for you to talk that noise. You know, Cowboys, they think every day is a good day for them to talk that noise, especially when they go, 4-1? Cooper Rush. The heck? Where this dude come from, man? Is this the Cooper Rush or is it that Cooper Rush? Because this Cooper Rush is different from that Cooper Rush. Hadn't that dude won now his first 5 starts in a row? No other quarterback in Dallas Cowboy history ever to do that. But I'm glad Jerry Jones finally came to himself and said it out loud so people can hear. We're real happy with what Cooper Rush has done. But when Dak comes back, he'll be the man. I mean, that's just the life of a backup quarterback. You got to understand. That's the way it goes. So we'll see what happens. We'll see when Dak will be ready. We'll see what happens in the next matchup. But, man, Those Cowboys are balling, but man, two other teams in that division. Right now, if the playoffs started today, and I know they don't, and I know they won't, so don't start with me. I'm not in the mood for that today. But if the playoffs started today, you would have literally three teams from the NFC East in the playoffs. Eagles would be the number 1 seed at 5-0. The Cowboys would be the number 5 seed at 4-1. And right at number 6 would be the I want to say New Jersey because they ain't in New York, but New York City Giants. I'm a new believer of the Giants. I'm a new believer. I didn't say I was a fan. I'm a believer. First time, maybe. Second time, third time, what? They got 4 of them. They're 4-1. And I'm not going to call Daniel Jones Danny Dimes because he ain't earned that yet. But listen, playing well. And this Saquon Barkley ain't that Saquon Barkley. This Saquon Barkley is getting it done. Man, I'm telling you, I like what I see out of the Giants. I love what I see out of the Eagles. And Cowboys, I got to give you a little tip of my hat. You taking care of your business. But if I'm not mistaken, don't those Cowboys and Eagles meet next? That Cowboys defense, though, good God almighty, that Cowboys defense will hurt your feelings. They will hurt your feelings. If Micah Parsons could do what he did with an injured groin, good God almighty, how good is this dude really? How good is this dude really? And DeMarcus Lawrence, he let him know, I'm going to sack you. I'm going to strip you. And oh, yeah, by the way, while I'm at it, let me go and run this thing in and get these points on the board. All Mad said Cooper Rush will be a Texan next year. Wait, elbow cough. No, bro, we don't want him. I say we because I live in Houston, not because I'm part of the team or anything. No, sir. No, we, the fan base, do not want Cooper Rush. Thank you, though. What else you got? We'll take Michael Parsons. We'll take him. We good. I ain't saying we good with Davis Mills, but we don't want Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush is that dude that's about to get paid a whole lot of money by somebody else based on what he did in 5-6 games for the Cowboys. He's going to get paid a whole lot of money by somebody else next season based on what he did in 5 or 6 games for the Cowboys. That's their money. That's their money. I hope the Texans are smarter than that. I do. I hope they are. I hope they're in the market for a quarterback, though. And I'm thinking maybe one of these rookies coming out or a very good free agent, not just a free agent quarterback. You know, ask the Colts how that's working out for them. Ask Washington how that's working out for them. Ask Carolina how that's working out for them. So, yeah, man. Yeah. Thank you all, man. I appreciate it, but no thank you. Listen, let me take an early break. I got a special guest that is supposed to be joining me, two-time Super Bowl champion Bryon Chamberlain is supposed to be joining me on the show today. We'll try and get him cued in as soon as he comes in. Really looking forward to talking to him about the Denver Broncos because I got some comments, I got some feelings, and I want to see how somebody who is connected with that organization or was connected with that organization, how they feel about it. So anyway, let me take this break. We'll be right back right after this on the lunch break, powered by JM&E, streaming live on Roku TV, courtesy of BS3. Hey, y'all stick and stay. We'll be right back.
This is a BS3 network presentation. Politics.
They'll write the law, but they'll enforce it differently. Is that going to apply both ways?
Religion.
God never said that we can't reason together. Matter of fact, he said, let us sit and reason together.
Relationship.
I believe that everybody wants and needs somebody.
From a man's perspective.
They say, girls, if I put some polish on that and get him to buy some different clothes, girl, he could be a winner chicken dinner.
Join the thought engineer.
There's nothing wrong with me developing my piece and you developing your piece, but understand the goal is to come together.
And comedian John Yogi.
Negro, I don't need you putting on no chapstick up there in the pulpit. You do that over there in your chair.
Get ready for
Mental
7 p.m. Central.
When the man said that Sharifa Barksdale is on the verge, she's getting ready to set the world record. And I lost concentration and I followed that hurdle. I was devastated.
One of our hopes for the Olympic Games, Sharifa Barksdale from Tennessee, a fine intermediate hurdler, ranked 10th in the world at 400 meters.
Posición game ball de Canadá, dominando la prueba, y la estadounidense Sharifa Barksdale está en.
When I fell over that hurdle, it ended my career. And then all of a sudden, my coach grabs me by the throat. And I was going through some paperwork and seeing that he had spent 10 years in prison. And I was just like floored. It turned to domestic violence. I was terrified. So if I left, I don't know if I was going to die. My family didn't know if they was going to get a phone call to say that Sharifa was dead.
8910 radio, I said a vehicle took a shot at me. Southbound on East 95th.
Broke the U.S. record in the 400-meter hurdles. Represented the United States of America.
Imagine being on the biggest, fastest roller coaster that you have ever been on. That's the way my life was for 20 years.
I never had no trouble out of her being what she wanted to be. Because if this is what she wanted to be a runner, well, God bless her, and he did.
Man, I just absolutely love what my company is doing. I absolutely love what JM&E is doing out here, helping bring visions and dreams to screens and streams. I am so excited to be working with Dr. Sharifa Barksdale and her family to tell her story. Former Olympian, former, track star who had one hurdle, just that last hurdle that changed everything in her life, and that story is going to pop and come to life. So again, Dr. Barksdale and her family, thank you for letting JM&E be a part of telling your story. So again, looking forward to that one coming out real soon. King Doc from Queen 3 and King podcast. I was with him, and the fellas last night on the forecast, and we talked about a very interesting movie, very compelling movie called Passing. It's on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, look it up, click on it. Good hour and a half, 2-hour movie called Passing. Very interesting movie from the culture. Very well done. I think I gave it the most mics last night than anybody on the panel because, I kind of like seeing the creativity. I definitely like the camera work, cinematography, and I love the acting. I love the way that they stay true to the period. So very good job. King Doc, thank you again, brother, for letting me be a part of the team. All right, while I got King Doc and the rest of the folks on here, let me real quick, I'll give you all the details tomorrow, but let me tell you who won $50 this week in the Lunch Break Weekly, keeping up with the Joneses Pick'em Challenge. Let me tell you who got the money this week. Real quick, let me give some love and honorable mention to the folks that were 8-8 and better. C-Dub, Rio, Britt, Duvall, Terry, Vinny, Jeremy, Charlotte, Keith, all 8-8 or better. Erica, Keisha Kelly, Dez, Big Mike, Andrea, T-Bone, Alice, Al High, King Doc, Delano, Todd, and Alexis, all 9 and 7 this past week. We had a bunch of 10-win folks too. Big Time Floyd, Chi-Town, Football G, Milo, and Erica with a K, all 10 wins or better. But man, we had some folks that really got it in. Emmanuel, Amber, J. Cole, all 11 wins. And baby, 11 wins were not good enough. We had Clarence with 12 wins, but he was tied this week with Miss Pearl. So Miss Pearl and Clarence both had 12 wins. So it came down to the tiebreaker. Final score of last night's game was 30-29. Miss Pearl had the final score of 23-20. Clarence had the final score of 28-17. The winner for being closer to the final score, none other than Clarence, got that big 50. And Clarence, congratulations, 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 Clarence. That G-Man from the Grambling State University got himself $50 from the Lunch Break Weekly Keeping Up with the Joneses Pick'em Challenge. I love having the longest name in the building. I love having the longest episode or contest name in the bill. I did that on purpose just to mess with every marketing guru out there. Long. I want to make it even longer. I want to put it on a t-shirt and make it wrap around my back. But all I know is I got to find $50 to send over to Clarence for having 12 wins and beating Miss Pearl by 2 points on the final score. 2 points on the final score. So Clarence, congratulations. Congratulations to everybody that was 8-8 or better. A lot of folks in that category. It was a good week for a lot of people. But again, 12 wins got it done. Came down to the 2-person tiebreaker, and Clarence got the win. So, all right, y'all. Let me see if I can't take another break. I want to try and get our special guests on. I think they're having some problems logging in. So let me take another break. I'll be right back with you right after this on the lunch break, powered by JM&E.
There's a 100% chance of a laugh thunderstorm. 4 men with different viewpoints take a movie, show, or documentary and review it uncensored, unfiltered, uncompromised, with no holds barred. Join BS3, Wilkes, King Doc, and H-Rap B as they take on Hollywood their own way. BS3 Network proudly presents The Forecast, where H-Rap B always predicts,
if I owe you something, I ain't got it. And if you need it, get it from God.
live every Monday at 8:30 p.m. Central. Check your local listings for your viewing and listening pleasure.
Man, we had some fun with those cats last night. The Forecast. If you haven't checked it out, you got to download BS3 TV on your Roku streaming device and check out The Forecast and all the other great shows. Now, without further ado, I want to bring in a brother that is not just one time, but 2-time Super Bowl champion, formerly with the Denver Broncos. I bet they wish they had him right now. It's all the way, my brother, Bryon Chamberlain. B, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Hey, how you doing, man? I'm glad to be here. Had a little technical difficulties this morning, but we made it, and we're here.
Listen, you've overcome challenges before, so this is lightweight. This is lightweight, right?
Yeah, this is easy work.
Oh, brother, I like that picture behind you. Now, is that one of your originals, or is that something that you just had a good eye for and went out and purchased?
This is something I had a good eye for. It looks good, in my room. So I love the colors of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
no, I like it. Now, I'm a little artsy, so I brother saw that and I was like, okay, all right, I need to see where that's coming from right there.
No, my daughter is an artist right now. She's in art school at Otis College of Arts and Design, and so if it passes her palette and her taste, then it's good for me.
Absolutely. Now, what type of art does she do?
She does it all, really, but she started to really focus in on anime. And she has a thing where she creates all these anime characters. She has this book where she's got about 150 to 200 different characters that she's created. She just declared her major as toy design. So, hopefully she's going to do something. I know she's going to do some great things with that.
Well, listen, I'm going to tell you, I'm touching and agreeing with you on that, because anime is huge. Tons of money in that. And people play with toys all the time. One thing kids ain't going to stop playing with is toys. So
exactly,
right direction, man. Brother, thank you for making time for us. Again, not one, but 2-time Super Bowl champ with the Denver Broncos. I think it was Super Bowl 32 and 33. Am I right?
That's correct.
Okay, well, listen, You look at this Denver Broncos team right now. What's it make you do? How do you feel when you see this team with how they're performing right now?
Man, it's I think the expectation of this team because of what we had built, the foundation there, as far as having a really, really good defense,
Right.
having some playmakers on offense. And we felt like, okay, all we need to do is get a quarterback. That was the whole talk around Broncos country. Hey, we get a quarterback, we'll be fine. We get Russell Wilson in. He comes with a great resume coming from the Seattle Seahawks. And so we think this is our guy. But it just hasn't lived up to the expectations early in this season, especially coming in with the, like I said, the new quarterback and additionally the new coach as well, Hackett,
right.
Nathaniel Hackett. So it just hasn't meshed well. The defense, like I said, has definitely looked great though, and I think the Broncos are a top 5 defense in the NFL, but just hasn't come across the offensive side.
Now, I mean, there's a lot in there. I want to chop them up if we can.
Okay.
Coach Hackett obviously did not get off to a great start after week 1. A lot of folks started to question decision making and what have you. It seems like every game there's been one key point where it just doesn't seem like he's quite making the right decision. You as a former player and formerly with that organization, what are your thoughts from your perspective?
Well, from my perspective, when you look at it, you can look at physical mistakes or mental mistakes or whatever, but when you are looking at the procedural mistakes, just getting the plays in on time, making sure you have the right grouping in, and you see a lot of times the Broncos, I mean, they look like, they look so disorganized, it's ridiculous on offense. And you got guys running in and off the field and out of the field, and then you're sitting there with 5 to 3 seconds to snap the ball. Right. I think we lead the league this year in delay of game penalties. We also lead the league in false start penalties, and a lot of that, to me, that's how you manage a game. So that goes directly on the coach / play caller, who he is. Mm-hmm. So that's been disappointing. I get it. I understand he's a first-time head coach. And you got to allow for some room to grow, but those type of penalties and those type of things, like where it's a delay of game and not managing the time right, those are things you should have down, I think, before you take the job as a head coach.
Yeah. We got Bryon Chamberlain joining us here on the lunch break. He's two-time Super Bowl champion, formerly with the Denver Broncos, some other teams as well. We're talking about the situation in Denver right now. Let me ask you, again, we as commentators, we swear we're the smartest guys in the world. Fans obviously think they're the smartest people in the world. Well, take us in the mind of a player that's on that sideline and you see something like that happen. You see him decide to go for a god-awful long field goal rather than give a Russell Wilson a chance to make a play. You see those delay of game penalties and, getting late in the play clock. What are the players thinking on the sideline when they know better, but they see it's not coming together?
I mean, as a player, you're going to be frustrated for sure with some of the decision making. But the thing is, the dynamics of a player versus the coaches, and especially with the coach coming in, you're going to give him a shot. You're going to give him a chance. You're going to trust and believe that, okay, he has a plan. He knows what he's doing. Let's get behind him. Let's rally behind him. Let's try to go out there and execute what he's asking us to do. Mm-hmm. And then once you get back and you see, I mean, of course you have your gut instinct, but once you get back and you see the film or you see the decisions, I mean the total scenario, you might have questions and maybe bring it up to the coach. Hey, in the meeting, hey coach, I think we need to do X, Y, and Z because that's just not working.
Right. Right.
And hopefully you have a coach that listens to his veterans, listens to his leaders, and tries to grow. Like I said, he's a first-time head coach, so there's a lot of mistakes he's going to make. It's just like being a first-time player. Sure. And everybody says, well, he's been a coordinator. But the responsibilities of a coordinator versus a head coach are totally different. Totally different.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the other part of that, even when as a coach too, you're going to get more of the praise that for things when it goes well, but you're also going to get more of the blame, and that comes along with that territory too.
Absolutely.
So as a player, I know that there hopefully some of those veteran guys are in his ear and saying, "Hey, coach, we got to get better in some of these procedural things."
Yeah.
Now, the reverse is some of the execution on offense, because he's giving them good plays and he's giving them opportunities. And I'm speaking as when they get in the red zone. And I think we're the worst red zone offense in the league.
Yeah.
Our kicker's going to have a heck of a year because he's kicking a lot of field goals inside of 20 yards.
Yeah.
So that's what the players have got to clean up. Figure out ways that, hey, we're inside the red zone. Let's get this ball in the end zone and get a touchdown instead of a field goal.
Yeah. Byron Chamberlain joining us here on Talk Your Team Tuesday. We're talking about the Denver Broncos. As I just said, the fans are the smartest people in the world. Commentators are second. Here's a good brother of mine, friend of mine, Todd Malcolm says, Seattle saw something in Russ and got ahead of it. They may have been right. Richard Sherman tried to tell us. Again, just because we say things as commentators, just because we say things as analysts, even if they played the game, does it mean that a statement like this is true? I'd like to get your point of view.
The thing about it is everyone, I think, has a shelf life with an organization. Bill Walsh used to said, you shouldn't be, the great Bill Walsh, former 49ers head coach, you shouldn't be any place more than 10 years. And everybody has their own shelf life when it comes to organization. So it might not have been that Russ was on the decline or whatever. It might have been that they were just ready for a change. He'd been there for a decade. It's time to move on, because that's one thing that we always know as the NFL. It's a young man's game.
Right.
And they're always looking for younger talent to come in and bring in. So maybe, with the combination of salaries, there's so much that goes into it.
Yeah.
Not just, you're playing on the field, but, what are we paying this guy? What does our salary cap look like to bring in other players and free agents? So it's easy to say that until you dig into the weeds and really find out what an organization is considering and why they are moving on from a player. Now, that being said, we had the same situation with one Peyton Manning with Indianapolis thought he was done, and they thought he couldn't play anymore. Came to Denver, set the touchdown record for a season. He set the NFL record for touchdown passes and took the Broncos to 2 Super Bowls. So obviously, maybe they didn't know as much as they thought they knew. But so we just got to give Russ a chance, and not to be long-winded, but I want to explain this too as well. Once you get with an organization, you get with a new coach, and you're learning these players. To me, you have to play on the field. And these guys, I think to their detriment, is they didn't play preseason. A lot of the NFL, the way it's structured now is you don't play your star players and your starting quarterback and your star receivers and all this, but you need that time on the field. You can have it in practice, but there's nothing like when those lights come on, and you're put in that situation. I think it's put a lot of these teams back. We've seen a lot of really terrible play for the first 4 weeks of the season. It has kind of looked like preseason.
Right.
Guys making preseason mistakes, and the Broncos are leading that pack. So that's another thing I think you got to factor in, not to make an excuse, but you have to factor that in, the fact that, okay, these guys have not played together. These guys have not spent the time on the field with the lights on, with all the pressure on. It's going to take a while to gel.
Yeah, I've heard that before about the chemistry. It's more than just phraseology. There's got to be some chemistry in that team with the receivers running the routes the way that they do, with the quarterback, the way he's leading them and what have you. And you throw in a new head coach with some of that newness there. You got a lot to mix up in that soup to make it taste good.
Yeah, and then you factor in the offensive line, okay, and him learning them, and literally you learn what kind of guys and how they block and Where do you think pressure is going to come from? You have to learn that. They have to learn that as well. They got to learn how is Russell going to react? Is he going to step up in the pocket? Is he a guy that likes to spin out and get on the edges? And that affects how they block, and the quarterback kind of plays off them as well. So there's a lot to factor in, not just, hey, Russ has lost it.
Yeah. I got to ask you a question from a friend of mine's son who plays tight end for a Little League football team.
Okay.
And he said, can you ask Mr. Chamberlain, is he a tight end that blocks or a big wide receiver that catches?
When I came in to the NFL, I was drafted as a big wide receiver, and that definitely was my strong point. And so I really focused in on my blocking because I wanted to become a complete player. I wanted to become a complete tight end. I wanted to be a guy that they could put on the field on every down and not take off the field. So I worked hard to become a blocker. Fortunately for me, I played with a great running back named Terrell Davis, so I got to work on my blocking a lot. But my goal was to become a complete player, and I was reading something about Michael Jordan and how when Michael Jordan came into the NBA, everyone knew he could dunk, everybody knew he could go to the hole and throw it down, and the worst part of his game, they said, was his jump shooting and him playing defense. Well, Michael was saying, in the offseason, that's the only thing he'd work on. He'd work on defense and he'd work on his jump shooting, his mid-range game. And we all know what happened. Michael being a 9-time first-team all-defensive player, and then be the most lethal mid-range game ever.
Right.
That we ever seen in the NBA. So I kind of took that mindset that, hey, I'm going to work on my weaknesses. I'm going to work on the things I don't do well because I know I can do all these other things great. So let me work on the stuff that I don't do well. And we as people, we kind of shy away from things we don't do well because it becomes that challenge. But that's the things I gravitated. Okay, it's going to be blocking for me. And if I'm going to get playing time in this offense, I'm going to have to block for this great running back. So I got to be a complete player. So I do look at myself, to answer this question, as a receiving tight end, but I'd like to think that I became more well-rounded as a total tight end, a blocker, as well as a pass catcher.
Yeah, that's good. I'm going to make sure he gets a clip of this answer because I know his team. He's got a team with a great running back, and his coach gets on him all the time about not blocking and even more not blocking downfield because there are a couple times when the young man broke and he just needed one more block. And unfortunately, it was on the side of that young tight end. So his question came from a very honest place. He's really trying to get better.
That's great. Hey, and tell him that the blocking downfield, young man, that's all about hustle. That's all in here, in your heart. It's all about wanting to and just hustling. And when you hustle on the football field, great things happen. You never know.
Absolutely. Now, you played with great running backs, but you also played in an era where they had some really, really strong tight ends. When you look at the game today, when you look at what Travis Kelce did last night, when you look at George Kittle, when you look at, of course, Gronkowski, which tight ends, play the game in a way that you're just like, man, that's what I'm talking about right there.
Man, I love this era. I love the way they are using the tight ends. I mean, the tight end right now is probably the weapon on offense because if you got a guy that's big and can run and can catch, he's always going to be a mismatch problem for offenses. I spoke with Travis Kelce this summer, and we were having a great conversation about that and about how our offense in Denver was one of the first ones to kind of split the tight ends out. And we had athletic guys like myself and the great Shannon Sharp, and they would split us as wideouts or put us in the slot or in the backfield and let us motion out. And we were kind of the first offense to do that. And now it's a commonplace thing because people realize if you got a tight end who can run, who's a big guy who can create he's going to be a mismatch. He's going to be a problem.
Yep.
And what are you going to do with your safety? What are you going to do with your linebacker? Who's going to cover this guy? Are you going to put an extra corner in there? And I've seen that. And we go in Denver and we'd go there two tight end sets, and they put extra corners in, and so we get in a two tight formation and just run the ball because they got all these little guys on the field.
Right.
So for me, I think guys like you just mentioned a bunch of those guys. Kittle, I like Waller as well in for the Raiders. But my guy, the guy who I really look at is Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
I mean, he reminds me a lot of myself as far as route running, running after the catch, and he's got a little swag like me.
I love it. Two-time Super Bowl champ Bryon Chamberlain joining us here on the Lunch Break. Talk Your Team Tuesday. I was even watching Notre Dame on Saturday, and they had a big tight end that set the receiving record for Notre Dame, and then they start calling it tight end U. And I had to think back, and they've had some big-time tight ends that came out of Notre Dame. Talk about your college recruitment and what you experienced. Were there teams that wanted you to play other positions? Were there schools that looked at you but weren't quite sure what they had in you? Talk about that experience for you.
Well, me coming out of I came out of the state of Texas, was one of the top receivers coming out of that state. And so the great thing about me, which I tell kids, is I had the GPA and I had the test scores.
All right.
And I was a great player.
All right.
So I was a recruiter's dream. I remember, one of the letters I got was for getting recruited, Jack Elway, whose son was my quarterback in Denver, but Jack was at Stanford at the time. And being able to be recruited by a Stanford and versus, schools that we think are as football schools like the University of Texas or Oklahoma, and those type schools. So, but like I said, I was a recruiter's dream because I did have the test scores, I did have the GPA, and I was a great football player. So just recruited across the board, all the top conferences. I went to the University of Missouri. I signed with Missouri for a couple reasons. I wanted to be a sports journalist, and so I was very interested in Missouri's journalism school. That was very appealing to me, as well as the level of coaching there. When I look at some of my former coaches, and just to be able to see that they were young geniuses at the time, but seeing Andy Reid, I met Andy when I was 15 years old when they were recruiting me. Dirk Cutter, who was a NFL head coach, longtime head coach and offensive coordinator. Marty Morningwig, the same. Just a ton of offensive talent, a ton of great offensive minds there, and they assured me that they were going to put the ball in the air and I'd be able to catch a lot of balls. So that was appealing as well. So that's the reason I chose the University of Missouri over all the other schools that were interested in me.
Yeah, let me ask you a question, because we see now what's happening on the FCS level, Division I AA as it used to be, where you got a lot of attention on HBCU schools with what Coach Deion Sanders is doing over there at Jackson State, with when you got Hugh Jackson going down to Grambling, and then of course Eddie Robinson Jr. Going over there to Alabama State. A, did any HBCUs recruit you, or B, were you interested in going to or looking at any HBCUs for yourself?
That's a great question. Yes, Florida A&M definitely recruited me. My grandfather was a Florida A&M alum. My grandfather also is in the Florida A&M Football Hall of Fame. So they came, and I always tell this story. It was the only time where the coach and the band director came to my house. Actually came to my grandfather's house. We had the meeting at his house, but it was the coach and the band director. Never met another school's band director, but we sat and talked football, and we also watched a film about the Marching 100.
Yeah.
So I am well versed in the Marching 100. But they recruited me, and they were honest, and I was honest with them. They knew I was getting recruited by a lot of these big time schools, and and I wanted to play Division One ball, and he said, they basically said, hey, we have to be here and do our due diligence.
Okay.
You're a legacy. Your grandfather did some great things here, and we have to do this. And for my grandfather and for the school, I definitely was going to be gracious and take the meeting with them, knowing that I probably wasn't going to go the HBCU route.
I am glad though that they showed up, because there's been some thoughts that, before Coach Prime and some of the other ones, that HBCUs weren't even making the approach to 5-star, 4-star athletes and just kind of settling, if you will. I've always thought that was a misnomer, but I've also always put it out there, coaches, if you want to win, you got to take a shot for Bryon Chamberlain as well. You just never know.
I 100% agree. And you mentioned what these guys are doing, and just the HBCUs as a whole. Like you mentioned, Coach Prime and Eddie Robinson and Hugh Jackson, and I can't be remiss if I don't mention my buddy Eddie George at Tennessee State.
Absolutely.
And I think that they found the blueprint. You got to invest. You got to invest in your coach. You got to invest in your facilities. You got to invest in your program if you want to attract these top athletes. And I really believe what Coach Prime and Eddie Robinson and like I said, Eddie George, Hugh Jackson, what they're doing at these schools are bringing these HBCUs back to light and put the limelight back on them. And I applaud them.
Yeah.
And I look at what's going on with the recruitment of some of these athletes. The Travis Hunter, who was arguably number one or number two,
right? Number one,
depending on what poll you were looking at.
Mm-hmm.
And he signs with Jackson State. You said had Howard University signed a basketball player who was the number 4 recruit in the nation.
Right.
And it's going to take an effort and a collective effort to show, hey, look, we're investing in not only our coaches, and so when you come here, you're going to get the best coaches.
Mm-hmm.
We're invested in our facilities, and I've seen a lot of these schools really upgrade their facilities.
Mm-hmm.
And we're investing in you as a player. You're going to be able to come here. You're going to be able to have the same advantages that they have at these big Division I white schools.
Right.
You're going to be able to benefit off your name, image, and likeness,
Mm-hmm.
just like that. So, hey, you can come and create your own legacy here and build these HBCUs up. So I love what's going on right now. I love the momentum that they've created, and I have to give a shout out to Coach Prime, because I think he has really built the blueprint of what it could be like for all HBCUs.
Yeah. Now, I listen. Don't get in trouble fooling with me. I got 2 questions.
Okay.
Questions. Obviously, we had a little something going on with Coach Prime and Coach Robinson in the Alabama State Grambling game. Jackson State game. Since you've been playing, I'm talking about from Little League to middle school to high school to college to the pros. Did you ever have a coach walk through your side of the field and through your lines and all of that?
Yes.
You did.
Yes.
Tell us how that went.
Yes.
Do tell.
Al Davis used to do it all the time. And never any complaints. But let's look at the dynamics of that.
Okay.
What actually happened? Okay, Jackson State gets there late,
Mm-hmm.
so they're behind they're in a time crunch as far as their pregame preparation.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I know about Dion, and this is from when he was a player.
Okay.
He's always come out of the locker room and took a lap around the field.
Okay.
Most of the time when he does that, they're there early enough that the other team's not on the field. Okay. So his team, but they get there late. Now both teams are on the field. He comes out of the tunnel, takes his traditional lap that he does. Just how it happens that those guys are on the field. I don't think he went through their lines. I kind of saw the video. He went around their line.
Okay.
And then you had a couple of guys on the Alabama State saying a few things at him. But I don't think he did it to be disrespectful. I think he did it to be like, hey, this is what I do. every time I get on a football field, whether I was a player and now that I'm a coach. He's done it at every stadium he's gone to. He kind of just takes a jog around the lap, a jog around the field. Now, he can't jog anymore since his surgery or whatever, so he takes a little walk around the field.
Okay.
Not a disrespectful thing, I think, and this is my opinion, unless you want to take it as disrespect.
That's a fair statement, because I might not intend to shoot you, but if I do, you're still shot.
I think those are two different things.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I got it. But let me ask you this. If he had said, listen, we're late. I normally take my walk around the field. I'd like to take my walk around the field. Can y'all go and cut a path for me? He's Coach Deion Sanders.
Well, he did bring his security with him while he did his lap around the field. Okay. And the other part of it, because I've seen guys do the disrespectful thing, like, we're going to walk through your line, we're going to talk crap while we're doing it. Deion didn't do that. Mm-hmm. He went around and did his thing, lap around the field. He didn't say anything while he was in the Alabama State section. Okay. And once he got back around to his players, he talked to his players. He got some high fives and some hugs or whatever. So if he did it with malicious intent, I just can't see that. I don't see him doing that.
And that's fair enough. And that's fair. And I receive it. I noticed that Little League, middle school, high school, Tulane University, I never had a coach do that. Never had never seen. And I've asked a few other guys, and they hadn't. But you have, and that's fair. And I appreciate you sharing that.
Oh man, Al Davis used to be in our side of the field, and our when we're down there throwing balls and warming up. True story. Al would be on our side of the field where our receivers and our tight ends are running routes or whatever. We're throwing go routes, post routes, and we would always accidentally maybe throw a ball really close to him, not hit him, but accidentally really close. Just to get his attention. So may or may not have done that.
Was he quick on his feet? Did he get out of the way?
Oh, he didn't have to. I mean, it would be close to him, but it wouldn't be it wouldn't hit him.
I got you. The other question I wanted to ask you, I don't know, and I'm not bringing this up from political reasons. I'm bringing it up from a football perspective. Have you seen the clip on Tommy Tuberville?
No, I haven't. I'm sorry, I haven't. I know he's very he's went from being a football coach to a political figure now, but I haven't seen the exact clip.
He made a statement that the reason why they want reparations is because they want us to pay for the pain that they cause, and he went on to say some other things about them and reparations. And my question to you was going to be, when you see a coach who has questionable beliefs, could you see yourself playing football all out under a guy like that who has come in your living room, talk to your mother, talk to your father, talk to your grandfather to recruit you, and you find out that they just got a whole different belief system on the other side of that?
I take that back. I did see that clip. I saw that clip late last night. I didn't realize it was Tommy Tuberville. Mm-hmm. Could I see myself playing for a coach like that? Hell no. Could I see my son or my nephew playing for a coach like that? I don't care what school he coached at. I don't care how many national championships they won. I don't care how many guys that they were putting in the pros. There's no way I would let my son or my nephew play for a guy like that, for a guy who has views like that. And I understand we have our, you're entitled to your own views and your own opinions, and sure. God bless you for that. Mm-hmm. But yours have to align with mine, I think, mm-hmm. when they come to certain things. Mm-hmm. And there's certain things that just are not going to, I'm not going to support. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to help you win football games. I'm not going to help you win championships if these core beliefs does not match up. And I don't care whether it's about reparations or about whatever.
Whatever.
You know,
Right. Right.
it could be about, you know, my faith as well. If they don't align, then I can we you know, I can smile and wave at you, whatever, but I can't help you.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
wouldn't want anyone in my family helping someone like that.
Yeah.
It's disappointing. I'm sorry, but
Oh, go ahead.
it's disappointing when you think of all the African American kids that have played for this guy, have you know, broke their bodies and their, you know, and their, you know, sacrificed for this guy to be successful, because that's what happens. And especially during the era when he played, guys weren't benefiting from their name, image and likeness. So it wasn't a mutual deal. Yes, they were getting educations paid for, but they were paying for that with their bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and some of those guys have injuries that will last a lifetime.
Right.
So it's disappointing when you think about all the guys that have come, that he recruited, that he sat in, talking to mama, talking to grandma, talking to daddy, and promising them that, hey, I'm gonna take care of your kid. But then you see what
Right.
he actually thinks about people who look like you and me.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. No, I appreciate your opinion on that. I was fortunate enough to have a top basketball player in the country, and I talked to a lot of these coaches, and I was just like, huh, okay. And the questions I was asking was not just about basketball; it was about my child and his well-being and what type of person was going to be leading them, because he didn't need a father. He had a father. What he needed was somebody who could guide and direct him, you know, while I was here and my son would be there, and got some very interesting answers.
Well, a lot of times when these coaches come to your house to recruit your sons or daughters or whatever, they tell you, I'm going to take care of them like I am their father, like I am their, you know, a surrogate father. Well, if this is what your surrogate father believes, that's kind of, you know, there's a conflict there.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I know we're about to run out of time, but I got to get this question in. This young man played some football back in his day. Allman asked, do you think they will change the pass interference foul, because if the Raiders would have kept long passes, they would have won? I
I
think he's
don't
talking
think
about those pass interference calls. There was one last night. Obviously, there was one with Tom Brady.
yeah, there's this,
Roughing the
there's
passer.
was it the pass interference or the roughing the passer?
Okay, no, yeah, he's talking about the pass interference, but I want to get your point on the roughing the passer.
I'll give you my opinion on both. Excuse me. There's a huge push right now to try to make the NFL like college, where pass interference is a 15-yard penalty versus a spot foul. I like it. I like it, the NFL rule. I like the fact that if I'm going to take a shot down the field and you intentionally interfere with my guy's ability to catch it, then we'll put the ball down where it landed, and we'll play from there. I love that penalty. To me, you can take advantage of that as a defense to say, okay, well, it's only going to be a 15-yard penalty. Let me tackle this guy instead of giving up a long touchdown or putting the ball on the 1 or 2 yard line. So I love the way it's in the NFL. As far as the roughing the passer, it's ridiculous. I don't know what you got to do as a defensive player now. I think maybe you have to like wrap the quarterback in bubble wrap and put the pillow down and lay him down. I don't know. And, you know, you're coming from a guy who is an offensive player. And when I watched that last night, and, you know, watching the guy sack the quarterback, watching him strip the ball, take the ball away, watching him brace himself from hitting on the ground so he didn't put all his weight on the quarterback. Like, I don't know what do you have to do. I think maybe it has to be reviewed. Maybe that play is reviewable.
That's interesting. That's an interesting, yeah.
Because to me, at the end of that play, that should have been first down going the other way, turnover,
right.
And instead, you know, they get a 15-yard penalty and get to extend the drive and actually get points out of that drive. So I think it has to be looked at. Maybe there has to be the special official that they do have, that they review. Maybe he gets to review all the roughing the passer plays and buzzes down if he sees something that he doesn't agree with.
I think that's an interesting alternative to what they have in place now. In fact, Dan Orlowski said something similar. We have too much technology for them to get it that wrong. And the issue was talking about Tampa Bay and Atlanta. If Atlanta loses that division by one game, they can directly point to that rough passer call where they would have gotten the ball, as opposed to Tampa Bay having an extension of that drive.
That he's 100% correct on that. And then the other part of it is this. I get that we're trying to make the game safer. I get that we're trying to protect guys. But at some point, football has to be football.
Right.
And I'm not talking about, our kids when they're playing Pop Warner or JV football or whatever. But once you get to the pros and they're paying you all this money, there is an inherent risk that we know that we take to play this game.
Yeah.
And we know it's rough. We know it's violent. We know that there are men that are 270, 280, 290, 300 pounds that we're competing against. Mm-hmm. So at some point, it's got to be football, and you got to let it be football. Yeah. And you have to. It is a battle of attrition. It is a battle of strength. It is a battle of endurance, and it has to be that. And sometimes I think at some point you have to let it be that.
Yeah. Yeah. Bryon, you've been a Pro Bowl tight end. You've won 2 Super Bowls. How is your health? How are you? Are you having any issues from your time playing the game as long as you played it?
It depends on who's asking. No, I'm joking. I'm just playing. Health-wise, I feel pretty good. I try to do the best I can to take care of myself. I'm still very active. Still try to hit the gym. Try to play as much golf as I can to stay active. I don't do the more physical things like I did during my playing days, as far as in the gym. But I'm still in there trying to fight the good fight. Maybe not eating as well as I should, but I'm still trying to be a little conscious about what I'm putting in my body. But yeah, I'm feeling okay. I'm feeling okay. I've got some bumps and bruises that aren't going to go away, that I've gotten through the game of football, and that I kind of live with. But my overall health, I think I'm good.
Good, man. Hey, we appreciate you making the time for us. Not one, but 2-time Super Bowl champ, Bryon Chamberlain, man. Thank you so much for joining us. Hey, as things go on, man, jump back in with us and let us know how things are going, if you don't mind.
AJ, it was a pleasure being with you today, and I most definitely you'll hear from me in the future.
Okay, appreciate you, man. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks.
All right, Bryon Chamberlain, man. Look, he said he wanted to get into this business, man. We have to find a way to get him in the co-host chair or get him in front of the screen so we can have him back. But again, great discussion. I was very encouraged and excited to hear his comments about HBCUs and what he's seeing going on with there. Me and a colleague of mine are hopefully going to get together and talk about the situation with Coach Prime and Coach Robinson tomorrow. But again, I was very, very interested in hearing what Bryon Chamberlain had to say about his time as a player and that. But again, really enjoyed his deal. Listen, I got to get ready to go. But again, I want to say congratulations out to Clarence. He is the big winner of the Lunch Break Weekly, Keeping Up with the Joneses Pick'em Challenge. He won $50. Clarence, shoot us your Cash App or Zelle so that we can get you your money. Last week, it was Big Time Floyd. He should be getting his money anytime soon, and it could be you this coming week. So all you got to do is get me your picks by Thursday, 6:00 p.m. All the games from Thursday night, all the Sunday games, and then for the Monday night game, give us the exact final score for both teams, and you are in. You don't have to go by point spreads. You don't have to have played before. You can jump in for the first time and win $50. Now, at the end of the year, if you're in the top 6, then you'll compete for $500 cash. So it's all happening right here on the Lunch Break, powered by JM&E, streaming live on Roku TV, courtesy of BS3. As always, let's not be divided. Let's be united. I truly do love you, and there's nothing you can do about it except Meet us here tomorrow for Winning Wednesday. We'll talk to you later.
It's Sybil Wilkes with What You Need to Know. Today is Tuesday, October 11th, 2022. Number 1, Wisconsin Republican Senator Ron Johnson went toe-to-toe with African-American Democratic challenger Mandela Barnes over abortion, crime, and inflation at a recent debate. The highly contested race could determine party control of the U.S. Senate. It was said to be a welcome chance for both candidates to clarify their positions on a variety of issues, and though they disagreed on most subjects, their comments were similar to those they've made on the campaign trail. Number 2, President Joe Biden announced last week that he's pardoning individuals charged with simple marijuana possession on a federal level. There's historical precedent for mass application of the presidential pardon power, but the sheer size of the president's pardon list stands out among most recent predecessors. The White House estimates 6,500 people with prior federal convictions and thousands of such convictions under Washington, D.C. law could benefit from this relief. Number 3, Chinese cities were imposing fresh lockdowns and travel restrictions after the number of new daily COVID-19 cases tripled during a week-long holiday. The latest lockdown started Monday in northern China after a preliminary positive case was found in citywide testing the previous day. Leaders don't want a major outbreak to cast a pall over the Congress, but their strict zero COVID approach has taken an economic toll, particularly on small businesses and temporary workers. Number 4, the family of Daniel Prude, a black man who died more than 2 years ago after he was detained by upstate New York police, has reached a $12 million settlement with the city of Rochester, New York. The city did not acknowledge any wrongdoing in Prude's March 2020 death. Daniel Prude died following an encounter with police after they restrained him with handcuffs and placed a spit hood over his head. Attorneys for the Prude family released a statement praising the settlement, which they believe to be the largest of its kind in Rochester history, but say it will not solve the larger issue of police violence. Number 5, if your business does not already have a retirement plan, now might be a good time to dive in. If you're self-employed and set up an IRA, you can contribute to 20% of your self-employment earnings with a maximum contribution of $61,000 for 2022. If you're employed by your own corporation, up to 25% of your salary can be contributed to your account. Find out more in today's newsletter brought to you by Texas CPA Katrina M. Kraft. Here's your daily inspiration from Yogi's Jewels. The strong stand up for themselves. Heroes stand up for others. Whew. Join me today live on YouTube and Facebook at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central with comedian extraordinaire, fresh from The Sherry Show, Damon Williams, and political contributor Cameron Riley as we discuss today's top headlines and more. Thank you to our What You Need to Know partners, Black Voters Matter and HBCU Go TV. To subscribe to my free daily newsletter, please visit SybilWilkes.com. Be informed, be empowered.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.